Thank you so much for coming today to JT's Artist Talk. We're in this space for Surviving Under Pressure, his solo show. So, just a little bit about me. I'm our assistant gallery manager. My name is Jade Biala. I'm joined today with Aura Cottrell, our marketing manager, Elise Fippinger, our exhibitions coordinator, and run around back helping out is Terry Pollock, our office and gallery assistant. So, a little bit about Studios Inc. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that supports mid career artists, giving them studio spaces for a 3-year residency in Kansas City. And if you're interested in a residency or becoming a patron, you can speak with Casey Price Clark, our Director of Operations and Programming. And once I ask JT a few questions, we'll be ending up in the exhibition hall. I'll give this, or Elise will give this mic to anyone who has a question. Just please make sure to raise your hand so we can get the mic to you. All right, so starting off, my first question for JT is, how are you developing these characters that we're seeing in your work?
Just making them show up. I don't know. So a lot of the collage characters for me are pretty new. It was a new idea. I started with I'd asked a lot of questions, and I had some life events that took place like right after I first moved in that kind of it tried to derail me personally, and so these were an extension of me dealing with some kind of personal affects, and then it caused me to think about identity and the building blocks of identity and the different pieces that form us individually. A lot of my work is usually built off of like groups and clusters of people, and this is the first time that I took a chance to say, what if I focus on myself, which is a reflection of other people as well, and think about how we are as individuals. And then they let me to make a group of them and show how beautiful they are as individuals, but how they're even more beautiful together.
Hmm, awesome, thank you. And then what drew you to the path of an artist, and what has that path been like for you?
It's been rocky at most. I mean, I don't know. It's been really great lately. Drew me to the path of an artist. I've the proverbial. I've been making work my whole life. Been doing it since I was little. I remember like one of the first things I learned how to draw. I stopped the person. I was like, you got to teach me how to do this because I need to be able to replicate it every single time. And that was just a simple like the 5-pointed star I guess that you make. And I learned it in elementary school. And then after that, spent a lot of time like copying cartoons, comic books, and it became a way of communicating. There's like for me personally, there's like points in my life I remember shutting the rest of the world down to say, I got to figure out how to make this thing because life can't go on until I make this. And then that spanned into going to college, starting an art career, having kids. And then I think the thing that really pushed me through it was just having kids and kind of showing up for my inner self and saying, like, okay, like, well, how can I get better at communicating my inside world with other people? Because I feel they feel the same way that I do. And if I make something that connects with them, it'll make the world brighter for them as well.
Yeah, that's great. And then you're the first artist so far to utilize both spaces for their solo show. How do you feel that these spaces compare and contrast with each other?
The the larger space, of course, is really good for large work. Originally, everything was supposed to be huddled together in one gallery, and it was going to feel kind of claustrophobic in a big space. And then having the second space, like Casey, the studio director, she was the one that said, "Why don't you do both? You can do a skate shop over here." So originally it was going to be a bunch of everyone else's artwork, and then just have my skate shop set up to kind of do something. And I said, "Why don't we just fill the rest of the space out?" And it gave me an opportunity to kind of shine on the collaboration I did with Pack of Strays and like the photos that he provided, the video that he provided, and some of our collective products. Like getting the smaller work made it more intimate for the collage work,
Mm-hmm.
and then the larger space really gave room for the brevity of like the skate park feeling and the skating outside and being creative in different environments, and then let the larger work kind of breathe. I think it gave you a lot of room to breathe, and then
Mm-hmm.
over here it made it a lot more succinct and special.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, let's go check out that work in the exhibition hall, and I'll ask
Okay.
you a few more questions. Okay, now that we're in the exhibition hall, much larger space, as you said, um, the question I wanted to ask you is, what role does community play in your work, and especially, how did you get involved with the skate community in Kansas City?
Um, so that's like for me that's a bigger question, and I hope it's not too drawn out. And then halfway through my question, I'm going to bring up my friend Ananda, who I
Yeah.
collaborated with. I think that was pretty important to me. So for me, the starting point was my work professionally started in the public sphere. So I'm more well known for public art. So I do a lot of public facing murals. Then I got into like the brisk iced tea designs. I do designs for other clients, and then those have a tendency to see more citywide, statewide, countryside, so on and so forth. The mural work, it impacts the communities directly because I found myself in a place. I grew up in Wyandotte County. I started asking questions one day. I was like, we deserve beautiful things too. That was like the impetus for making public art. And it led me over to Kansas City, Missouri, and worked in a not-for-profit. And I got hooked up with a mentor that knew another mentor, and we started a mural arts program. I started making community-based murals. So a lot of my work for almost 10 years was just community, 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 community. And then I had a chance to focus on some personal work, which a lot of my fine art is for. But for this show, it kind of gave me the opportunity to step back and say, okay, what does community really mean to me? So instead of always reflecting what everyone else sees, what everyone else is doing, what everyone else thinks, is like my own personal ideas, where it gave me a chance to like go back to my personal roots in skateboarding. So skateboarding for me was the first time that I ever had a really diverse friend group. So I grew up, I'm biracial. My mom's white, my dad's black. They come from different areas. And I was always kind of like you're inside, but you're outside. You're never really there, but you're never really out there. You understand a lot of things, but you're never, it's always kind of like this. And skateboarding was the first time I was like, what, 15, 16, hanging out with like a 45-year-old dude, 13-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid, 21-year-old, like alcoholic dude, and someone else, and like Asian, white, black. And we were all like, yo, you skate? Oh, we're brothers now. And like we all came together, and like all of our strengths signed. Like I got all my music from just being around them. I got my magazine influence from them. I got my clothing influence from them. And it was the first time I ever felt like I really connected with other people, and I felt like welcome and alive. And for me, like, I mean, that was the impetus for striving to make something dealing with skateboarding. I was turning 40, started a skateboard company. I was like, I really want to relive kind of that shining point in my life, and it led me to like including the community portion of that was um, it forced me to a point where I was more vulnerable. So usually I'm a solo artist, so there's certain people I've collaborated with. When I do collaborations, it's usually like you make this part of the design, I make this part of the design. This is kind of how they either rub or they kind of come together, and that's it. You do your own thing, I do my own thing, and that's it. There's nothing else. For this show in particular, it was the first time I collaborated with my friend Ananda. So you come on up if you want to. Ananda runs Pack of Strays magazine. It was at the end of 2023, early 2024. I saw an Instagram post online of he had filmed a trick in front of one of my murals. So it was a mural on the plaza, Barney House Plaza. You can't miss it. It has a big word bubble that says JT Daniels. It was funny at first, but it's a great calling card. And his friend Marty did a switch frontside big spin off of this ledge in front of it. And I was like, man, that's so creative, but that was a massive freaking trick. So it'd be great if you tagged me in the video next time so we'll look kind of dope. And then we started a conversation, and I invited him back to Studios Inc., to the studio. And he's like, man, this is really cool. And then we started talking, and I started telling you about how I was interested in skateboarding, how I used to skate. And he told me, you were a professional skateboarder, like you used to ride for what company? And so he came in, he brought this information, and it was like we started. For me, that was like the reemergence of like that feeling of community for me, like having a conversation with someone that's similar upbringings, not 100% the same whatsoever, but like similar effects. We have similar likes, we have similar tastes. Finding out more about it, and then the collaborations just started naturally happening. We just had a conversation on my couch. You talked about some boards that you wanted to do or you had done. Some yeah, so like the for me the biggest conversation point was like the thing I wanted to get out of this show to talk about like community so on and so forth is like I really wanted to bring a community that doesn't come to the gallery into the gallery space. So I grew up in a place where everyone goes to the Nelson Atkins like one time in your life, K through 12, and that's it. You don't talk about art, you don't read magazines, you don't look at photos, you don't read poetry. If it ain't the Bible, we ain't talking about it, right? And I felt like I was like, yeah, I got a lot of homies that skateboard, got a lot of kids that I've worked with, got a lot of younger adults, older adults, other people that are interested. But even like my own parents are like, you know, it's the gallery, you know, I don't need to be there. I was like, I really want to create a space and an opportunity to show what I do, connect with people, but to get them into the space that they're not in, and then to show them like not only do you belong, but you can use this, but how do you use this after me? And then after you feel welcome, does that make you feel welcome to keep coming and keep on participating? And then to explore that. And so it gave us the opportunity to make some other work where like the questions I got last night at the opening were they have beautiful paintings on the wall, and then I have like the light gray painting in the background, but I have this big wall ride section that I painted, and my mom and like three other people were tripping out like, why is it dirty? Why are there marks on it? I'm like, well, work can be beautiful. It's beautiful on the wall. It's a beautiful artifact, but the analogy that I thought of was like a Kobe jersey's tight. A Kobe jersey with a signature behind a frame is even better. But a Kobe jersey that he won in the game that has like some like tears or blood or something like that on it and signed, chef's kiss, right? For me, skateboarding was like it was the combination of all those things. You bring people together, you look at beautiful things, but it's also supposed to be used, utilized, and appreciated. And to me, it's like in response to like older forms of art. It's a way to allow in different ideas. It's not so convoluted that only one person can do it, and it was a way to let other people shine as well. So in the smaller exhibit, all of the photos, the video, the ramps, and then the skaters that came through were all invited by Ananda. So that's how most of this kind of pulled together. I did the graphics.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
for me that was the inclusion of community. For me, creating skate or not creating skateboarding, creating something that revolved around my love for skateboarding and connected with other people. And then I found out there's a whole plethora of people that love the nostalgia point, like 25, 35 to like 55. I was like, oh, I hope some 18-year-old people show up because they're gonna think I'm too old because I'm 40. And there's people that show up like 55, 56. It's like, nah, brother, I'm older than you, and I love skateboarding too. And then like that was an eye opener thing for me. It was like, man, this is a really cool thing, and it kind of just showed me like the breadth of like subcultures and how community really makes things happen.
Yeah, that's really insightful. And then my final question for you is, now that you're exiting your 3-year residency, what takeaways do you have from this experience?
Takeaways from this experience. So I think this was like the biggest show I've probably done and the most like probably diverse. Like normally the work that you see are like the black and white designs or like a mural and that's about it. Um, the being in this space, uh, it allowed me the opportunity to make something that was outside of the norm of what I did, and I did not like it. I'm usually like I do a lot of design and advertising, a lot of marketing, and everything has to be concrete. Everything has to be concise. You redraw the line 7 or 8 times until it's the cleanest that it can ever be. And making the collage work was like there's imperfections, and it's okay to shine a light on the imperfections, and it's okay to make work that you don't think is gonna be valuable or nice, and just let it breathe and sit. And then you find out other people really connect with that, and like that it added like another level of the vulnerability to the artwork. It's like it's okay to make some things that I don't 100% understand. It's okay to try to communicate things that I don't know how to communicate through that. And it's also okay to make things that aren't perfect. They don't always align together. I didn't have a purpose when I started the collages. I didn't have a purpose for how every little thing lies together. And it's like that's still beautiful. So it helped me to see the beauty in other things. And if I had to shout out some of my other friends that gave me some good advice. I mean, the reason I made the collages to begin with is because Harold Smith told me to make something crazy, wild, and beautiful, and to do color and just like slap some stuff on it and don't be so perfect with it. And then Gary Nolan, I used to be studio mates with him. He told me to kind of rein it in and give me some parameters. So the reason that they're collages, he said your parameters are you can't buy anything new, you can't like only people have to donate things to you, or you have to find them, or you have to reuse things that are already in your studio. The only thing you can buy new is like glue, razor blade, and some scissors, to get to make it. But everything else, that's your parameters. So it forced me to take walks in my community. The collages, you can go look at them. I got like Newport wrappers. I got Black and Mild wrappers. I got like leftover Mountain Dew. I got like those foam cups. I got some solo red cups cut up put in there, grip tape, all kinds of different things.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll pass the mic to Elise, and if you have any questions, just raise your hand.
Thank you. First of all, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know if they can, but
It's for the video.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, congratulations. And, JT and I both went to the same high school, Wyandotte, about 20 years after me. So go Bulldogs.
yeah.
Just got one question. How does it feel? I mean, how does it feel?
How does
Just
it
to
feel?
be this experience of all of this.
I think well, last night it was the first time that I ever felt like really accepted in the art world. I make a lot of work behind closed doors. A lot of people don't. Like, they don't know that I made the brisk iced tea. I don't. I'm not boisterous and talk about the kind of stuff, but I do it. That's how I make my living, so on and so forth. But last night, the outpouring of that was like, man, hard work pays off. I've been doing this for a long time, and it came out, and it's. I've been really. He might call me a negative Nancy. We've talked a lot, and he's been really helping me to just kind of live in the moment and kind of be there and accept it. And being in this space helped me to kind of work on myself. I turned 40 at the end of the year. I was really worried about it for the 3 years that I was here, and then it just kind of happened, and it gave me the authority to kind of just walk along with my authentic self. And I think being here has really helped me to just authenticate what it is that I do, walk in it, own it, and be okay with that. And I think that for me is what like showed in the artwork and the whole exhibition.
We're proud of you in Kansas City, Kansas.
I hope so. I'm trying to.
He's on. What's that wall for the school district? You made it.
Reason to believe.
Yeah, an honoree of Kansas City, Kansas School District. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey JT. I wanted to ask, I see the word sup reoccurring in your work quite a bit, and so
Mhm.
can you speak to that?
Sup is surviving under pressure. So like the show, I didn't know what to call the show, and I created the board company Man Made off of we made a bunch of mock designs back in high school. It was like 15, 16. And I was about to turn 40, so I was like, I'm not getting any younger. Might as well do something. Bought it, started the LLC, so on and so forth. And when it came time for doing the show, I couldn't come up with a name. I spent a bunch of time like researching and editing and looking and that. And the one thing I realized is like in all my work for the longest time, I had SUP, which is surviving under pressure. And for me, I thought that that was like the connection point for lots of people. So whenever I do mural work, I've been doing mural work for at least 13 years professionally, but a little bit more than that. Don't hold me accountable for older work because it looks kind of crappy. Swear to God. Uh, but I would realize when I was painting these murals, people would come up to me in the community while I'm painting, and they would approach me like I'm a bartender. They would just show up and they would just hover and they would just watch me and they would just talk and they would give me the whole life story and tell me about how they were on heroin and they got off heroin and they're going to do this, they're going to do. But those same people were the people that would show up constantly and they would watch my mural while I was doing it. I talked to homeless people, I talked to rich people, I talked to poor people, I talked to whatever. And I realized it's like a bus stop or a bar. No matter where you're at, what you're doing, who you're talking to, everybody has some pressure they're surviving under. And that's kind of what you do to get through. And your story is important. And when I paint murals, I'm not telling everybody's story by like actions, but I tell their story by them being represented and seen and how they look authentically. Even though their face may be blue in the mural, because that's artistic choice, but authentically showing up. I was like, everyone's surviving under some kind of pressure, no matter what class system you're in or whatever. And I think that's the humanity, and I think that's what made it kind of beautiful. And so we decided to make it a part of the show because it's like, well, I talk about it, but I don't talk about it, and it's kind of there. And it was my way to like pay like homage to graffiti because I didn't grow up a graffiti artist and do graffiti and stuff like that. And I got a lot of graffiti friends, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna put sup because it's like 3 letters. I ain't trying to do no 8 letters, and I don't want people judging my hand style, so it's kind of easy.
Well, JT, last night I want to again congratulate you on an amazing opening reception. It was so well attended. by all aspects of the Kansas City community, and there was such a great energy here. We had kids running around, and people of all ages who all appreciated skateboarding and your work. With a lot of young artists attending your show last night, they were buzzing from the energy. What is your advice to young artists in Kansas City, being a journalist, like developing your business and your brand and collaborating with other people in the community?
Um, that's kind of like that's a lot. Uh, how do I break it down? Uh, First, like so, I've been a full time artist since 2019, and I was doing artwork. I was doing professional artwork since about 2010, 2011. So it was still like a good almost 10-year period before I went full time. And the only reason I went full time was for it was like a fail safe project, which whenever you say fail safe project, it ain't fail safe, it's gonna fall away. But it was a good push to go through and follow through on my dreams and whatnot. Like, long story short, I quit my day job. I just moved. I left the not for profit. So I did the job at Brisk, and I came back, and then my boss tried to let me go, and I was like, "Oh no, you're not. I got the yellow folder right here with all my information. I'm just gonna leave the job and go over here." I got a job in Overland Park. I made a $5 raise. I got insurance. I was looking up. I was like, and I was like, I just can't do this job because I'm doing murals at night and on weekends, and I'm using up all my sick time to do work for other people. That I got to just do one or the other. And I had this fail safe thing, so I quit my job, and that thing fell through. And then COVID happened 6 months later, and everyone was like, "How does that feel?" And it was like the best thing that ever happened to me. But before then, if I had to talk to like my younger self or younger people, it's like it's grind time. So there's a lot of grinding. Like you show up, you put one foot in front of the other, and you just try. And you're gonna fail. Things aren't gonna work. Things are gonna fall through. Money's not gonna always be there. But you gotta find out what is it that you do, what do you bring to the table, what makes you happy even when money's not there. And I can go back and tell you, you can ask me personally about it, but I keep a journal and I keep track of like when things happen. And there was a long time where I could not give art away free. Like I've been to an event, I met a good friend as a muralist there. He taught me about the merch game. And at the time, I sat at a table next to him for a 3-day weekend. I paid $100 to be there. And I got to the point where I was trying to hand my poster prints away for free and sign them. And people would just go, "No, thank you. You do that." And I was like, what am I doing wrong? I've had events not pay me. I've had this, I've had that. You've had things just, you find what's right for you and why you do it. If you find your reason and your why, it'll carry you through. And as far as like collaborating, I learned how to, there's an extent to where you can talk outwardly about your dreams to the people, but if you figure out what your dreams are and where it is that you want to go, spend a lot of time doing research, like the internet, social media, Facebook, magazines, see what other artists are doing, and then spend time like making sure it's not just a fad, but look through, see what they're doing, what's going on, so you can ask more concrete questions like, okay, you did something fancy, but is that what you do all the time? Do you do this succinctly? Is it just a poster design? Is it a mural design? Is it, what? How does that classify? And then you ask questions. And I just like, how do you do this? How long have you done this? How does it work for you? How did you build to this? And I started designing a portfolio. I think the thing got me the brisk iced tea design was like I wrote in my journal maybe a year and a half before it happened. I took one of the boxes, cut it up, and I glued it down. I said, I want to work for a company like this because I think I've done enough market research that the work that I make, it fits in with who they are and what they look like and what they do. It's not a mural design, but it's something that I'd be interested in, and this is why. And I think something's going to happen like this. And then a year and a half later, they hit me up, and it happened like that. I've had other projects where the mural project came out when I was walking through Wyandotte off of 18th and Quindaro, and I was walking this stray dog that they got stuck in my backyard. It became my dog, and I didn't like it. He didn't like me. But my wife loved him, so like, whatever. We're in this together, my dude. And we're just walking. It's like blighted building, blighted building, blighted building, blighted building, blighted building. I'm doing art but I can't get paid for it. People like it, but I can't get paid for it. So I'm like, all right, how do I bridge the gap? How can I make my community look better? Because we deserve beautiful things too. Because there's a whole community over here that has it and we don't. And then how can I bring my work in front of people so they can see it, but then not have to pay for it? How do I figure out how to make someone else pay for this and then to solve this problem and to keep myself from going broke? And I started talking about it. And then 6 months later, my first mural project happened. And then the collaboration point happens when you show up, you bring your portfolio, but you show that you're consistently working on yourself and you're building your work up. I think the biggest thing too is like if you're really young, you don't work on a niche. You learn on building up skill sets, and you learn how to experiment, and you see what feels good, what doesn't feel good. If it feels good to you, keep walking in that direction. If it don't feel good to you, you don't beat a dead horse. You can't be what you're not. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, your consistent self will show up, and then I started talking to people that I felt were valuable, and the more people I talked to, I found that it's easier to help someone who's moving along than if someone is just sitting there not doing anything. Like if you're hoping, wishing, waiting, you're praying, but you're folded and your legs up and you're not moving and doing anything, it's not gonna happen. But if you're like, I'm hoping, wishing, praying, and I'm trying, I'm knocking on doors, I'm looking for opportunities, and people notice that, and I've had opportunities happen to me where I'm just trying, and someone's like, all right, I've seen you grinding, I've seen you putting in the work, I know you just need an opportunity, let me help you out. So in the crowd, you have Sue Moreno. When I was getting out of college and I was looking for a studio space, and she met my wife, talked to her. She ended up let me use her building at the time for like supposed to be 3 months. It turned to like 6, 7 months. It was an overextension, but she was nice and graceful until she was like, "You got to go," right? but but she let me use that space because I was talking like, I need a studio space. I think I'm ready for this. How do I figure that out? I'm a broke student. And I talked about it enough. This thing pops up like the law of reciprocity. You put things out there, think out loud. I mean, people pay attention to it. I think the most important thing is like you grind like you grind when no one's watching. You work when no one cares, but people do. It just takes time. I saw Isaac first. Sorry, I guess I got the mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I kind of just woke up, so.
No, you're good.
I have a few questions, but it's about the process.
Okay.
Where do you allow intuition to take over, and where are you strict or controlled?
So I'm strict with control, which is the client project. Client project, that's how I pay my bills. So it's got to be what they want, what they don't want. But intuition, I always start the initial project. Everything is intuition. I listen to them, I hear them out. Want to make projects for myself. Like a lot of the black and white designs, that's me in my sketchbook. I'm right-handed, so I do this thing where I take my left hand and I'll just draw like circles, and I like very organic shapes. I'll just swivel around the page for a little bit, take the page, flip it upside down, and then I look at it and I'll draw with my right hand and see what kind of comes out. And then if I like it, I'll save it for later, and then I'll come back and re-edit it. If I'm gonna make it into like a digital project, then it probably gets a lot more edited.
Mhm.
If it's for myself, I might just let it stand. If I'm using it for a project, then I gotta throwing everything in the kitchen sink into something doesn't work for me, and kind of got to edit out what works and what doesn't work visually, like finding a balance. But usually intuition starts with like, what do I feel initially? What makes me like what do I feel good with? And then how do I feel creative? And then I build off of that. And then I usually rein the design in. Like, all right, this works, this doesn't work. Like the wall ride mural before, the whole thing was black, like the whole background was black. And then I was like, I don't like that. What if I put them in water? And then I found a reference to George Washington crossing the Delaware, design off of that. And then I rehashed it. And then I was thinking about like Libertad and stuff. I mean, this is a design based off of a canvas that I already sold, but so it got some of the design cut out of it. But I had like Libertad, and I was working on like tying in immigrants and people that represent people in the community, making it my own work. But it started off with like the photo of a historical painting.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I'll ask one more question because I'll leave space for everybody else. What compromises have you learned not to make?
There's a laundry list of red flags. Sometimes I still compromise and I don't mean to. I think it's like once you put a red flag in something, don't compromise that. And when you like something doesn't work, like now people will ask me, "Well, I just want you to do this. Like, you're a creative. I need a logo design. Like I don't design logos. So you need to go somewhere else. I'm not even gonna approach that. 'Cause that's not what I do. So learning like what I do and what I don't do, and just being able to say no. And then other times it's just like, I don't know, trying to be something that I'm not. And I think everyone struggles with that. Like you want to get paid or somebody asks you something, you kind of let it go. There's been learning more now to just be upfront about what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do, who I am and who like sitting with that. That's still like a long journey. It took me like 15 years to be like, nah, I'm not Van Gogh, so I'm not going to do Starry Night for you. I can do this. And if you don't want that, that's okay. I think the biggest thing is like people think that if you say no, you're going to lose opportunities, and you have to get over the fact of, oh, if I say no, I'm gonna lose this opportunity. But and realistically, the idea is that saying yes to opportunities that aren't for you takes away from the possibility of an opportunity that is absolutely for you. And I've seen it happen where I say yes to something that I shouldn't do, and I know I shouldn't do it, and then the next thing rolls through, and I can't do it because I'm already locked into something else. And the thing that I'm locked into, absolutely hate it. Work turns out terrible. It doesn't pay right. I hate working for them. I hate myself for doing it. All my friends are like, "You got to Venmo me some money because I'm not your therapist." Like all kinds of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
What's going on?
So I have a question more. I don't know. I'll just ask. As muralists, we tend to have a business mind, and we tend to think about like we're gonna do this wall, and we're gonna get paid this amount, and we're gonna do this. We're constantly thinking about contracts, and we're constantly thinking about all these business part, marketing, and all that. How does it feel to do work for yourself? And in a way, quotation marks, you're not really getting paid for it, but you're doing all this work. Like, how does it make you feel? Like, is there like a really big change? Do you feel better doing all this work than like the paid work, or like how is that feeling?
At first, like when I first started the residency, it was scary. It made me feel nervous because all my money is tied up into like what projects I do and don't bring to the table. Like how many murals could I do? Like can I grind out and do 20 murals in 1 year by myself, or do I hire people out to do this, do that? And after a while, you're like, man, everyone else's voice becomes your voice, and I didn't like that. And when I started hitting my late 30s, like 38, something like that, it just kind of clicked. I was like, man, I just don't want to do all this so much. And doing the fine art, it doesn't pay off in the front end, but mentally, emotionally, like and in record myself, my soul or something like that, it's like I feel better. And I feel like doing the mural work and doing the client work, it builds like an expectation of what people have seen from me, and then I can do something like this, and it's like, hey, this is. It still reminds you of some of my client work maybe you've seen, but it's different. Like the parameters are off. And for me, it was learning to say like it's okay to make something different. It's okay to make something that I want to do. It's okay to make something that I'm not asking people for permission to. And for the first 2 years in the studio, I was looking around for someone to give me permission to do, like, is it okay if I don't use your logo colors? Is it okay if I don't make this an AI file? Is it okay if I just do and it's like, yeah, it's okay. Like it's you. And I think doing the fine art, it's like that was a necessary balance because just doing the client work only for me, it was burning me out, and it was making like I didn't want to do more work. I didn't want to be in the public. I didn't want to collaborate. I didn't want to do the skateboarding thing. I didn't want to meet new people. But I think doing this, like, it pays off in a different way where you connect with people in a more like honest way. And then the other work, I think they appreciate that too because that's still using your honest self. Like it's all client work. I still talk about like, is it good for the community? Is it good for public facing forward? Am I the right artist for this, or should they have another artist do this because it looks more appropriate for this? But then balancing that out with the personal work is just it made me feel a lot more healthy. And I think the payoff it still comes. Like people, they look for the smaller artifacts. They look for things they can own personally for themselves. A lot of my work people can't put in their houses because you can take a picture on Instagram, but it just lives on the wall and it's non-permanent. So I don't know if that answers your question all the way or not, but
That was
I think I think lastly for that one is like, as artists, we're multifaceted people, and I remember why I got in the mural work and the client work because I needed to pay my bills. I wanted to make money, but after a point, I felt like I was being taken over by capitalism, and I was being told everything I could or couldn't do. I can't say this in my public work. I can't do this in my public work. I got the I've had projects where we spend 5 weeks talking about the size of a person's like ears and their nose and their chin, or painting a pregnant woman. Do you paint her with big breasts or small breasts because she's supposed to breastfeed? And like people are different sizes, doesn't matter. But for that kind of thing, it does. But for your personal work, you can do whatever you want to. And I think that's a freeing portion that like that's the high school me coming back out and like, finally I'm here again. So I think they're a necessary counterbalance.
Thank you.
What is the most positive feedback you've gotten from that community? after doing a mural, and in contrast, what was the worst?
The worst is the one I did this summer when you was there. Like, Reed gonna ask me like you was there, bro. Like, that was not. That made me want to quit mural work this summer, man. I really walked away. I did not apply for other murals after that for a minute, unless I was asked specifically by organization. And I was like, oh, you could just apply for a public mural. I'm like, we had water bottles thrown at me, had people cussing me out, saying you ain't supposed to do this, you ain't black in an all black neighborhood, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, you don't see us, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. We didn't vote for this, we didn't do. And then the whole thing opens up, and everybody's like, oh, that is a nice mural. I do like that. That is kind of cool. Who's that young man that painted that stuff again? I'm like, bro, I almost had a mental breakdown because of that. But it's still, I had another friend tell me, it's like, it's still, if you do community facing work, that's the hard work. Like, it's not putting your personal effects on it, and it's not detaching. It's doing what's important because it needs to be done, and making sure it's done the right way. And sometimes you just get negative feedback, and it's hard to deal with it. But that's the most visceral. I've had other ones too, like, are you going to cause a mosque bombing because you painted a woman in hijab over in Overland Park? They hated that one. The guy told me, like, came by every single day. It took me 4 days to paint the mural. And he told me, like, KKK was going to roll through. He was going to do this. He was going to do that. I got to the point where I told him, I was like, look, I can't paint and talk to you all day. There's a bar over there. Give me 45 minutes to finish painting. I will pay the tab. I need a drink to listen to you talk. And we'll be in an open space. You can say whatever you want to for about 45 minutes, then I'm going to go. That's it. And then that mural came out. Him and his wife were the first people to post online about how beautiful it was with selfies in front of it. A positive mural, I guess, would be, I really like painting for schools. Now, sometimes the kids don't always love it, but there are certain organized, like, not take it back, switch over. The most positive mural I've probably done was with Amethyst Place, because their whole community of women that live within their housing structures and the facilities that they've made, they all appreciate the work. They feel seen. It's for them and makes them feel comfortable, but they also come from places where they don't have anything, and they get from it the most, and it just makes a beautiful living for them. And they're always happy whenever they're around. And I just feel like a really warm welcome whenever I'm there. So I would say that's probably my most positive one.
So I moved here like over 3 years ago. I could say honestly that your murals have been like a point of navigation as I like learned Kansas City. Like it's that iconic to me. Like you mentioned Amethyst Place, and I'm like, man, I turn right there every day. You know,
Yeah.
there's something about this work that's very impactful. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you.
But my main question it has to do with your fine artwork,
Okay.
collages. You got this gesture in that silhouette. There's anything that inspired that form?
You mean like the silhouette
Like
shapes?
this guy.
Well, 'cause, like I always feel like I have a hunchback because I'm always over my computer all day, like drawing or waking. I don't know. For me, it was like the slouch because it's like you're walking with your hoodie. Like I love. So since like I pay attention to the news, I pay attention to things that happen, and when I do my public work, I'm not able to talk openly about how I feel. And like for me, I remove it because I'm like, you're not paying me for that. And I've seen other people get like shadow banned or whatever else. I try to make my work as community based as possible. I come up with a message and I stick to that heavily. And I try to include as many people as possible because I believe that representation and inclusion matter. But if you do it organically, then diversity naturally happens and people will gravitate towards it and like it. And you have to give them an overall message for that. When it came to my personal work, that's when I can make references to personal things that I think about. So I think about people that like Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice and stuff like that. I'm black. My kids are like, my wife is Latin. My parent, like all this kind of stuff. Like they look like this, right? And like their hair is in some of the images. The logo on my shirt is my kid's face. When I draw the shape, is I like wearing hoodies because hoodies are really nice for me. And when Trayvon Martin happened, I remember having a really deep conversation about that. And I started making artwork of people like wearing more hoodies and stuff like that. I was like, it's okay. That's what I wear all the time. I work really hard to just show up as myself. My dad always told me you couldn't be a professional if you just wear hoodies and shorts. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm wearing hoodies and jeans today, so what's up, you know? Love you, but. And so when I did that for that specific shape was just, I love wearing hoodies, but they're also kind of slashed over because when I was doing that, I was reeling off of like, so I lost 3 grandparents back to back from the first portion of moving in. And for me, those were like the got one grandparent left. I had a lot of grandparents, which a lot of people don't have. And it was like those were like the three big major pillars. I was like, well, who am I? So I felt a little sulking. And then I created the mask where like they're wearing a mask. I was like, well, thinking about identity is like, how do I show up? How do I look? How do I think about myself? How do I see myself? And then the silhouette of like the women wearing like parkas and so on and so forth, that was a reference point to me. It was like, well, I had a good work experience. So I used to work at a not-for-profit, and I worked with kids after school and during school making art. And one of my most like fond memories was working with these seventh grade girls at SVN Middle School, and they taught me about their culture, so on and so forth. And they let me do a skateboard project with them, and we made stickers and we made posters. We wrote papers and stories. We did plays, all the kind of stuff. And I remember them. And in my neighborhood in the historic Northeast that I live in now, I see women wearing that all the time everywhere. So I've always been like, hey, I feel represented vicariously when I represent other people, but I wanted to express some of my surroundings. And at the time when I was making them, the community was kind of under heavy scrutiny and attack. So I was like, well, I think that looks beautiful. I think that look great, and I don't have a problem with you being around me. Like, you're great people to be around, so put it in there.
Yeah.
And it just became like a repetitive thing.
That's definitely like a mixed kid experience. Like, oh, representation matters.
Yeah, it's like because you grow up not being seen, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, everyone's looking at me, so like, what does that really look like? And I was like, I've
Right.
made my identity based off of all these little subcultures I've had to be a part of, and all the things you got to play games with. Like, how do you code switch, and then how do you explain it to other
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
then how do you see yourself in that? And then public work taught me how to see myself in other people. And I was like, it's okay if I don't paint myself in the mural, but if you win, I win, and that's what makes community great. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, each of you guys give us a little more insight into how the project that was filmed and photographed in the exhibition hall over the summer went from idea into reality, and how that experience worked for everyone with the photography and the filming in the space.
You did the photography and the film.
I guess it kind of seemed like a natural thing in a way, just because skateboarding is a collaborative thing as much as it's an individual thing, um, especially when you're doing it in a professional level. So I always collaborated with the filmers and photographers that I had to work with, and bringing people into the space and kind of doing that seemed like a pretty natural thing. I'm lucky to have a very large friend group of skateboarders that I've built over my lifetime in doing it, and this kind of thing is just fun to us. It's getting to play with your friends, and
Yeah, so like the way you were setting it up. So you set up the inside of like, so when we were talking about what we should do, the idea for like the two ramps and then that was all you. You were like, all right, well, I think they can do that, so let's draw it up. So you drew it up on paper, and we talked about it. I was like, are you sure these dudes can do that? I mean, I'll buy the materials and I'll paint it, but you built it, and you're like, nah, dude, these dudes are gnarly. They can do this. I'm like, all right, none of my friends can do that. I can't do that. I didn't do that. So and then most of the guys, most people he brought into the space were all like professional skaters. So they were like sponsored by like Escapists or other suitable companies, right?
yeah, I mean, some of them are, either professional. I mean, Lucas is a professional skateboarder, and then some of them are at that same level, and for whatever reasons,
They're I call them the heavy hitters in the community. So they're the people like when you go to the skate park, oh, that's that one. Like,
you would not know the difference between them and a
Oh,
professional.
don't talk to him. Don't ask for his autograph, man. That's too cheesy. Like, and then I saw him here. And like people online were seeing it, like us posted on Instagram. They're like, "Can I come watch the skate session? Because you got Lucas still out there." Time to get. I'm like, nah, man. It's private event only. It was like, oh, I hate you. That's okay. It's okay. You'll be all right. And then like setting up on the inside of it. I mean, that was kind of you too, telling me like how to set up the arrangement for how you would develop a line. So a line is like a series of tricks streamed together throughout the space, and that was you and them kind of working together and say what works best for this space, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely when when you're trying to figure out that, that's also like a neat creative part of skateboarding is you're kind of when you're setting up a line where you're linking tricks together and stuff, or even just the single ones, you're kind of like conveying how you're seeing the situation and how you want to like navigate through that. And it definitely is kind of neat to be able to shuffle the stuff around and do different stuff with that. And
Yeah, it's
getting
like
to utilize the space like that is kind of getting to them get to have the opportunity for them to express themselves too. It's pretty awesome.
we were talking a little bit earlier about like the reason I like skateboarding like growing up. Not that I was on a professional level whatsoever. I got my friends in the crowd. He was like, you wasn't doing that, so JT. I was a fat kid in the group, so I can do some tricks, but that's about it. I might break some boards, you know. Um, it was about going in and looking at a space and then saying like, okay, everyone else is like, you see the gallery walls and whatnot, but how do you rearrange what you have, make something else inventive out of it? When you make these lines, it's like how like you look at the Kooning painting and how he comes through and uses full arm movement. He's gonna flick the paint to make it curve and come through and come around, or a Jackson Pollock when he's playing with the paint, so on and so forth. That's how I was like seeing them go up and go on the wall, like leaving the after effects of that. We want to show like the movement and using the space, and then also figuring out how do you give them the space so they can like generate enough speed to actually get over the railing and pop over it and what have you, and then keep coming around. Like we're missing 2 benches right now, which they're heavy,
Yeah.
but we'll probably bring them in the end of the month for that portion of it. But a lot of it was just kind of figuring out like what works, give enough speed. Can you actually jump this? Can you not jump that? And then every skater does something different. Like every skater's not gonna do the same trick over the same thing because that's just not their thing, right? And it was just like getting a feel for like one of my favorite things is we had I don't know his last name, but Rod
Yeah, Rod Harper.
Harper, chef's kiss. That dude came in and tried the same trick for like half an hour to an hour, and then he went outside, changed his outfit. It's like, all right, I got the matching shoes and matching outfit. Film this one because this was going down. And it came out, came off the ramp, like a switch wall ride comes through the space. We had two. They got a bench over here. He does like a cricket grind, comes out. I think he comes around. Does like was it a switch?
I think switchback nose grind 180.
Yeah, it did really complicated trick. I can do it on Tony Hawk, but he does that, comes out, and then comes back over and comes back through. And it's like that's a lot of organizational, specific, like having a specific awareness around you. And there's a lot of body contortion. Like how are you gyrating for the turns? How are you getting this push movement? How are you kicking off? How are you moving? It's like that's just it's like watching someone doing a dancing ballet, but on a skateboard moving around. So I thought that was pretty great. And then like just utilizing that, like I thought they were pretty hype on the artwork and whatnot, and still making other portions of it work.
No, yeah, I mean, I think the whole opportunity has been super fun, and I know everybody that was involved had an absolute blast getting to skate in a space like this and kind of getting to interact with art while doing it. You know, made it pretty awesome. And I'm kind of like you talking about the marks on the wall. I mean, that's the interaction with that and the painting is such a natural thing in the streets. Like you've probably got some art out there that has marks on it
I
in
mean,
the
I hope
streets,
so.
right? Like, so I not everybody is going to get that. Like your parents, who you were talking about earlier.
And my parents, they
it's kind of from a skateboarding point of view, like seeing that is kind of a neat feeling to be like, well, a couple of those marks are for me going over that. Like I got to, put my little addition to the show, by playing on a skateboard. It's
I think it's like
pretty cool special thing, man.
It's like when you get a
been
skateboard
really
deck,
cool.
you're like, man, that brand new deck is really cool.
Yep.
But when you got more marks on it, it's more beautiful. Like
Once it's tore up, it's a
like it's
beautiful
more
thing.
it's more like when you wear skateboard shoes, like it looks really cool, brand new. Like they look nice in your outfit. And my parents used to get pissed. They're like, why do your shoes have holes in them? I'm like, oh, that's the rite of passage. You gotta now they're the good ones, right? So I love that interplay. So I think that was like really fun and just I think the biggest thing too was like inviting people into a space where they were allowed to do something. Everyone's like, we're not allowed to usually be in a gallery, nor are you allowed to do anything like that and leave a mark. And here they were riding against the brick wall. they were hit the cinder block, not damaging it, but going around it. And they're like, we're in this gallery space. There's artwork around us. We're allowed to skate here. This is like one of those secret character stages on Tony Hawk
Yeah, it
that you
feels
get like a
you're
bonus
getting
stage or something like that, right?
Excellent way of putting it.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's usually built off of like going out and finding a spot outside that you're not supposed to skate, you get kicked off of, and how are you inventive enough and good enough to get at least one trick off of, like what was talking about, that fountain ledge?
I mean, or even the thing that Marty did on the plaza, that was like such a insane thing because like he's literally on the roof of a building, jumping into a street that's at a downhill angle that then goes into like Broadway and the intersection of like I think that's JC Nichols Parkway or what. I mean, just insanely busy, jumping off a roof in between cars, in between traffic, and
It's
like
not a place
timing
that's
that whole
easy to
thing
get up
out.
to.
Yeah,
It takes some ingenuity to get up there. And I saw it online. I was like, I was having a bad day because like nobody loves me. Nobody likes my artwork. What am I doing in my life? I turned 40. I suck. Like, what is this? I don't know. And I saw somebody do a skateboard trick. I'm like, did it really? That's what I'm talking about. And then I was just happy we hooked up from there. So yeah, that's the crux of it. I don't know. It was really fun to be in a space that we're not normally in, and then getting other people to be a part of the space too, and then making people feel welcome and like these are other things that you can do. And I think that opens the floodgates for other ideas. I don't know. So I wait pounding on the mic and stuff like that. I had my Denzel moment. All right. All right.
Don't go far. How did you get some of those views? It was like you were like falling around. Were you on a skateboard too when you were filming?
Yes.
I mean, wow.
I literally got hit in the face by a skateboard. I think a couple times maybe while filming it. It's kind of tricky to do, but again, since I've skateboarded my whole life, it's not horrible. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely chasing around a bunch of people who are 20 years younger than me. And I mean, when you're shooting the photos, when you're doing the video, you're literally like, to get the best shots, you're putting your face and your equipment in the danger zone like the whole time you're doing it. But that's also, I think, just about as much of the thrill of what you're doing, as the person getting the trick. It's kind of, you're getting a trick too when you don't get smoked by a skateboard and you
But
get the shot.
It's not nice because it's like you had like two different cameras you're using, right? You had like the GoPro, and then you had
Yep.
like the Sony VXS.
Yeah, I have a larger
but you're like
format camera, and I mean that
like
thing,
this the whole time when he's falling.
yeah, I
so.
mean you literally are in a contorted, uncomfortable position the entire time you're filming, or shooting the photos, laying on the ground, looking up at something that's you hope you can move quickly enough when it doesn't go right that you're not going to get hit. But I mean that's how you get the shots you want. That's part of doing it and being able to continue to do it. I mean, you're going to fall all the time. That's part of it. You're going to have to learn how to fall. It's a neat life analogy though that is carried through. Just you're going to mess things up. You're going to have to keep getting back up and trying and trying and trying until you get the thing that you want. I mean, that's almost anything in life, right? Like doing art professionally, you not can do it right away, right? You got to earn that.
They know how to fall.
Yeah, you got to get back up. Yeah.
So when you were finishing your exhibition, you had that day where we were talking, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many things I could have done. Like, I have so many ideas, and like I could have done this." And then you guys, transforming this whole space into like the skate park. Has this garnered any inspiration of like the next thing you guys could do, or?
I mean, it's already feeling. I saw us doing conversations last night about it. Like I had there was a few notable people that came through the space, but there was one person in particular. She's my new doctor. So you know, you hit 40, they're like, a check engine light comes on, you better not let it run. So like, all right, I'm getting my blood checked and all that kind of stuff. And I've been talking to her about the artwork that I do, and I'm like, I don't think you understand what I do. She's like, oh, you know, you just do artwork. But what do you do for your day job? Like, that is my day job. So you're broke? I'm like, what? No, just come to my show. Like, okay, I'll be there maybe. I'm like, you better come to my show. So she came through. She's like, I didn't know you actually make artwork. I was trying to tell you. Like, you know what? I think I'm at home making stick figures and stuff. Like, I do be the most grandiose stick figure you ever saw before your life. Like, and she came through and she had mentioned a couple months ago when I was dealing with something else, and we had talked, and she had a space that she bought east of Truce, and she was like, "Well, I'm not going to use it until like maybe September, October. My husband and I got to renovate it into like a wellness center of some sort." I was like, "That'd be really good for the hood, but what are you doing before then?" She's like, "I don't know. It's just kind of sitting there. It's usable. Like, who's using it?" She's like, "Well, nobody right now." I'm like, can I use it? And she's like, well, what do you have in store? Like, I want to do some artwork, do another installation. Kind of want to do, I've been selling this idea for what I want to do as a follow-up to this. It's like, what if you do this, like more activation points? Like, what do you do to bring in the same kind of energy, take it to different parts of the city, and then how do you capture that feeling that you had in like the 90s and the early 2000s where like weekend pop-ups, like go to a show, it's only open Friday, Saturday, maybe a Sunday, and that's it. It's closed down. You got to be there, be square. And what does it look like if you get a place like that? You know, I don't know, build a mini ramp inside of it, do an art exhibition, paint a mural on the outside of it, get a DJ, a food truck, get the city to close off the street, do an exhibition on the outside, get a non-for-profit talk to it or tied to it, talk to some kids, one and done, and then start building that up more times through different places. And so that's kind of the idea right now, but we're gonna see. I was trying to pitch the ad. So if Eric Fusen watches this from the Albert Kemper Museum later, so he hears I'm calling him out, I'm supposed to be putting in a show bid for the Albert Kemper Museum. So we're gonna see if the advisory board likes it or doesn't like it. At the moment, that's just kind of what I have in the docket. I don't know. I've seen this works really great, and I think if I shrunk it down just a little bit, it could be really tight in a smaller space.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been having the conversation, especially because we still have these ramps and got to figure out where the heck they're going after this is over.
I mean, the biggest thing,
So,
he's having a movie release coming out pretty soon. So you have that skateboard movie you're gonna do, right?
yeah, I've been working on a skateboard video for a few years now, and I'm gonna hopefully be premiering that in the next couple months. So I've got that coming up, which is always a fun thing and a neat thing for the skateboard community to get to go in a movie theater and watch some skateboarding on a big screen. And then outside of that, just kind of continuing making the magazines that I do, and that's kind of a fun like quarterly magazine that I do. And yeah, see what happens if we can get some more opportunities to do some fun like skateboard art collaboration pop-up stuff. It's really been fun, so I'd like to continue it in some way.